Yes. Okay, go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item is a roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Medley.
Here.
Alderman Shaver.
Here.
Alderman Kelly.
Here.
Alderman West.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Okay, next item is invocation led by Pastor Darrell Jones from Crossroads Church, followed by pledge of allegiance from Alderman Headley.
Give thanks tonight. We give you thanks tonight, dear Father, for life and the opportunity to live it, and the opportunity to live it in this community, and to be participants and leaders. And I just pray over the business that's transacted tonight, administrated over as decisions are weighed and considered. And I just pray for discernment and wisdom for those that lead. I pray for understanding and discernment and wisdom for those who follow. May this business be conducted without confusion and in order. And again, I give you thanks as I do each and every time for these men and women that set before us to serve our community in elected positions as well as in paid, salaried, hired positions. And I'm honored to live in this community and to be a citizen as well as a friend to many of these in this room. And we give you thanks for in Jesus' name.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
No additions, Mayor.
Okay. Seeing no additions or changes, no proclamations, move on to citizens' participation. We ask the citizens step forward to the podium or microphone, and please give your name and address for the record and address the board. Does anyone wish to address the board this evening? Seeing none, move on to consent agenda.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Alderman Scully to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Arnold. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Seeing no previous business, move on to new business. We have a temporary liquor license application from Embrace the Grape LLC.
Mayor and Board, we received last Thursday an application for a temporary liquor license to be submitted to a company named Embrace the Grape. They will be hosting an affair at a Quaint Gathering on March 14th. Their temporary license will only be issued for that evening. They have the other licenses from the county and the state that is required. All the other information that's required to obtain that license has been submitted. So at this point, we would just need confirmation from you to move on with providing that license to that company, or have any questions for them. I do not see a representative here this evening from the organization, but I can make sure they have any questions answered if you have them. Yes, sir.
On temporary permits, does that waive for liquor license has to be so far from the church and stuff? Does the temporary waive that?
It does not.
Or aren't they too close to the church to have it?
I don't know the answer to that question. We had talked about that prior, and it is just across the street from the church.
Across the street.
Yes. We've never had anybody hold a license in that facility prior to this request, so we've never really looked into it. Since it was such a quick turnaround to get it on the agenda, we didn't have a chance to get our codes enforcement out there to see exactly the approximate distance of the facility from that church, but what we can do is have them do that.
What's the distance supposed to be?
300 feet.
They're not that.
Aren't they?
You know, you got the width of the street and maybe
It might
20
be
foot on
50
each side,
feet.
see maybe 50 feet.
Yeah.
But isn't that facility, I mean, they host wedding receptions and anything else?
They do, but they do not hold a liquor license permit. So if they were
Sell
to, it's a private business, so if they were to serve alcohol, they just can't sell it. If they just serve it, then it's just like a private residence holding a party, so to speak. and may obtain all the liability in that instance, but it has nothing to do with getting a license from the city.
Let me ask this, might be kind of off topic, but say someone's having a wedding reception there and they have a cash bar.
Mhm. That's exactly what they're doing in this instance.
I
They've
bet that
never-
happens, I bet that happens there.
What I do know is, a Quaint Gathering, is very aware of our liquor license laws, as well as the county and the state. And this Embrace the Great organization has had to file for or apply for a liquor license because a Quaint Gathering would not allow them to serve liquor or sell liquor
Okay.
before. So they're aware of it, and so it's my understanding that they aren't allowing that.
I mean, really, cause I'm almost 99% sure that's closer than 300 feet. There's really nothing we can do then, is there?
Well, you can waive the 300 feet requirement if you
Oh.
want to.
Just like on a one-time basis thing, or
Yes, yeah, but you would need to vote.
is that setting a precedent though, if somebody in the future wants to come and,
Certainly could be.
Well, they have the alcohol there all the time, we know that.
yeah.
Just charging for wine, I don't think is gonna.
I just don't wanna set it up where somebody comes in for a permanent liquor license, and they're like, well, you waived it once before, why can't you waive it for us permanently?
Well, I mean.
Is that
like-
different, or?
Well, yes, every situation's going to be different. But certainly if you waive the 300 feet requirement once, certainly somebody can come in and argue that you should waive it again. But in this situation, they're serving alcohol there now. The only difference is they'll just be charging it for this one-time event. So it's, and you're only doing it for one night. I don't see this as setting a precedent that's going to have a big effect in the future.
Yeah, they're every time they want to do this, they'll come back and ask for a way every time.
Yes, every single time that they would be engaging in activity that requires a liquor permit, they would have to come back in and reapply for a new license.
So they're gonna get used to us waiving it, is what I'm getting at.
Well, this isn't actually the owners of the
Correct.
building?
It is not a Quaint
It's
Gathering.
somebody who's leasing it for their activity?
It is actually a company that's been hired by the folks that have rented the facility. So they're not associated with the owners of a Quaint Gathering at all, except for they're bringing in their own merchandise to sell. It's my understanding that they have been hired by the parties who have rented the facility. So unless, this company wants to continue to come back, it would be different. Now, a Quaint Gathering does have, obviously, they'll understand that they'll have this one-time opportunity to serve, and that may open the door for them, but in this instance, it's not going to be issued to the owners of that business.
I don't think you're gonna have a lot of time where people would come in and have the liquor license and stuff already. I don't think you're gonna have someone just throwing a party there that's gonna go to all the trouble to get a liquor license stuff for it, so I think this is kind of a unique case. I'd motion that we waive the 300 feet.
That need to be two separate motions, or can we do it all in one? To waive the 300 feet and give them the,
Like you've done in the past, you can waive that holding period. Technically in the code, it states that you have to wait till the next board meeting to vote on this, but you've waived that in the past.
okay, so your motion then is to waive the 300 feet,
300 feet.
waive the waiting, the holding period, and to approve it basically all in one. Okay, second by Alderman Headley. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
Seeing no discussion, no ordinances, move on to resolutions.
This is resolution R-15-06, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, amending the 2014 City of Grand Valley Employee Handbook.
I move that we accept resolution R-15-06 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman West to approve resolution R-15-06. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
I've got some questions, and they revolve around other communities doing the same thing we're doing here. I don't have an issue with the Friday after the holidays, but the Monday before. I don't know if that's a normal thing for a lot of communities. And while I'm not against giving our employees something that's more than what somewhere else goes with,
I'd like to get some more input as to whether other communities offer the same benefit on that situation. So, and without that information, I'd like to make a motion to table until we can find that out.
Okay, I have a motion to table resolution R15-06. Seconded by Alderman Johnston. Any discussion on the motion to table?
I think we need to do a little more research on, on this as well. I kind of understand the Thursday, a holiday falling on Thursday, and then Friday letting them off, but I need a little more time to think about this one.
Yeah, we certainly don't have a problem.
Yeah.
The only reason we're presenting it is we thought this was the direction the board wanted to go, but absolutely, yeah, we'll check into that and get back to you.
We need to look at this.
Have we checked in at all yet?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes.
We have a tiny bit, not fully, but what we did last year in looking at our sick leave policies is we got some cumulative information from surrounding cities, and some of them provided the information for holiday pay and for which holidays they did have off for their employees. But I can't be certain on how many responded and all of that, so we can follow up and certainly get some more feedback from those communities.
No pressure, but you only have about 11 months to figure this out.
Okay.
Fact is, the first time it occurs is 2018, so we got plenty of time.
Well, there you go. Even better.
As I was saying, we just went through it, so it's not gonna happen this year, so, yeah. Okay, anyone else have anything else on the motion to table? Seeing none, all in favor of the table, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. On that, probably just once you get that, can we just put it back under, like, old business or something, and then if someone wants, then they can remove the table if they want to, after we talk about an old business.
When would you like that information back? Just leave it.
No hurry, whenever,
For 2018.
18 preferably. Just, I mean, don't have to, like, bust out and get it tomorrow, so you got time.
Wednesday.
Probably, like, maybe on a meeting where there's not a whole lot, that way, you know, not like when there's one that's like 6 pages long. Okay, that's it for resolutions. Next up, city attorney's reports.
No report.
Next up, city administrator and staff reports.
Mr. Ramsmeyer has a report.
Apparently, I'm doing all the talking this evening. A few weeks ago, we had Charlie's Roadhouse request a 3 a.m. license, and that was approved by you all. Wanted to let you know that their county and state license was provided to us today, so it's on our schedule for tomorrow, or at least by the end of the week, to issue them that license. And just wanted to update you all on that and see if you had any further questions before we did that. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, I do have just a few things. I just wanted to remind you, March 9th, the next board meeting will be the conditional use permit board meeting. We'll be discussing the recommendation that the Planning and Zoning Commission made last week for the operation of Valley Speedway. And then just a couple nights later, 2 nights, that Wednesday, March 11th, we will have a Planning and Zoning meeting, and it will be the public hearing for discussion for the overlay district and the modification or amendment of the overlay district. This meeting is per the workshops that we've had with the Board of Aldermen, and we'll be making recommendations to Planning and Zoning per those workshops. An item that I told you I'd follow up on is just the city website. As you know, we received $2,300 in additional grant funding for that. So my next step is to actually move forward with the design, and I know this has been a topic of discussion. I heard back from about half of you on the website, but what I'd really like to do is the 3 options are: we can leave the colors and the logo the same, we can change the website color to blue and change the logo color to blue but leave it as the same logo, or we can completely change the website and the logo, making it the new economic development logo and a blue and red color scheme for the website. What I would like to do, just because I want to move on this thing, is if I could just go down the line and find out everybody's preference, and that way I have direction to get started tomorrow. Is that okay, Mayor?
That's fine, man.
Alderman Johnston?
Well, I can't see any sense in changing it all. I mean, we've got money invested in what we've got, and changing it just for the sake of changing it, I don't, see any advantage to it to incur the cost.
Okay, very good. Alderman Schaefer?
I like the third one. We're, we're moving forward, things are changing in Green Valley, and I think it's time for a facelift.
Okay. Alderman Scully?
I really don't. I kinda like both of them, but I could go with either one.
With the blue or the?
Yeah, go with the blue or change it on the third option.
The blue with the new logo, okay. Mr. Mayor?
So, same logo, blue color, right?
Yes.
All right on that?
Yes.
Blue and blue, same blue, however you want to say it.
Okay. Alderman Headley?
I'd go with that as well. I mean, it really, to be honest, doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I mean, as long as it's not like purple.
So the blue website with same logo but blue?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're putting way too much thought into this.
Alderman West?
Same logo in blue.
Okay. Arnold?
Same logo, blue.
Very good. Based off of my quick ciphering here, we're going to go with blue and the blue logo. So we'll have the logo changed just for the website. We'll continue to use and
Not changing the
No,
logo.
not change logo, stay with the current logo.
Current logo, change the
change
color.
the color of
Change
the
the color
logo.
of the logo.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Just wanna make
Yeah,
sure
we
we're
will not
clear.
be using the new logo for the
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
But we will have to change the color scheme of the existing logo.
We'll get moving on that
Immediately.
When do you think it'll be done, Ron?
Well, the website designer is about 90 to 120 days out right now, so he'll have to, he's gone ahead and put it back on his schedule as soon as we found out that we had the grant funding. I would say within the next 2 to 3 months, he'll probably pick it up again, and then a matter of a month or two in design, and then he's really gonna have to work with staff to get updated content so we don't have the same issue that we have with the existing website. We don't wanna just transfer everything over, so.
Super.
The next thing that I wanted to do is just kind of publicly acknowledge the email earlier that I had sent to you, and that's the fact that Central Jackson County will be providing a ambulance. It'll be Med 4 and Station 4. It's the first time the city of Green Valley had a dedicated ambulance in that station. I know that each of you have been concerned about that, and I know Alderman Arnold's, actually, we've discussed it in the past, and this is gonna be a great thing for the city as far as for CJC's level of service, so, really appreciate that from CJC. Next, Brad Welly has contacted the city and given us the name of students and the teachers and the coaches that they have recognized for their achievements this school year. I would like to find out from the board when we would like to hold some sort of special meeting to recognize all these students. I think in the past we've picked a Monday night and actually had a meeting of refreshments and stuff for them. So is there any date you'd like to shoot for? Anything we should stay away from?
Definitely not March 9th.
Not what?
Not March.
Not March 9th.
Yeah, probably a bad night. And we'd probably be looking at off nights typically, isn't that what we?
Yes.
Okay.
Typically, it's either, we avoid Wednesdays and Mondays that we don't have board meetings, because of the court schedule. So we usually look at Tuesdays or Thursdays, and it just depends on who has what going on from there.
If you would like to as well, I mean, we've kind of brought this up with you, what we could do is send out several proposed dates in email and just kind of try to get a consensus about what works best.
Fine.
Okay.
Now, that's just for the first half of the year.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We will hold another one probably, early to midsummer like we've done in the past.
Yeah.
They just recognized them at the board meeting with the school a couple meetings ago.
2 or
is that
3
right?
meetings ago, yeah.
So we're just following their schedule when they provide them to us.
Okay, very good. And then there's one last thing that I'd like to hand out to the board. Today, we received correspondence from MoDOT regarding the intersection of 40 Highway and Sybar. I'll hand it out to you so you can see, and I also want to read it into the record so that the record reflects MoDOT's official stance on the situation. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's not really important, but our city engineer, Rick Arroyo, forwarded this to us today. And it's from Matthew Killian. He's the area engineer for MoDOT. The email simply says, "Hi, Rick. Sorry for the delay in getting back to you. We got information from the FAA regarding about the streetlight request, and it's been determined that the light would not be acceptable at this location. The entire intersection is within the approach slope of the runway. A streetlight would be considered an obstruction. We also looked into the signing and striping, talked with management, and determined that larger signs or striping modifications are not appropriate and would not reduce the type of crashes at this location. If there continues to be an issue at this intersection, we can consider access changes like converting to a right-in, right-out. I do not think we are there yet, but we will continue to monitor. Please let me know if you need anything else. Thanks, Matt Killian." So essentially, the recommendations that we had from the last meeting that staff met with MoDOT, in this email they're saying that they're unable to do any of those. Access changes do appear to be the only thing that we can do outside of additional enforcement and patrol. But that really, that's going to cause a problem. We have a significant expense in the railroad crossing down there that we put in. And to boil it down, access changes mean, a right-in, right-out. People could only turn right onto Snybar or go eastbound on 40 Highway. There'd be no left turns any longer. So really hoping we don't have to get there, but I wanted you to be informed as to what the position is.
What's the problem with lowering the speed limit? Why are they such against that?
Well, they follow engineering standards, and the standard that they set speed limits according to is called the 85th percentile. I don't know the full formula. I know the quick and easy is basically they go out, they do a traffic study, and they find out what 85% of the traffic is traveling at. At that intersection, for westbound, it's 61 miles an hour, and for eastbound, I believe it was 64. So essentially, their study says that there's no reason to lower the speed limit, and that it would not change traffic safety at all. In fact, their study would recommend that the speed limit be increased.
Well, what's it going to take? I mean, I hate to say it this way, but what's it going to take? Somebody to get killed before they really get serious about this?
Well, and I think one of the,
a lot of it is drivers there too, because I go out that way. I have been for the last 8 months just because of all the talk. And like I told the chief earlier, that's what we were talking about was, if I'm the head of traffic and I pull up to the stop sign and I stop and I look and make my left-hand turn, the other cars behind me don't even stop. They figure since they stop behind me, they're good. They go ahead and go. And I get it. It's a lot of drivers there because you can sit there and watch people run that stop sign like there's no tomorrow. But there's still the percentage of people that are having actual accidents because of the intersection. Yeah. And I just can't understand why they can't put some kind of striping down, like we've talked in the past, going westbound to make a turning lane there to buffer that out a little bit. There's plenty of room. I don't understand why MoDOT, what they want out of this.
We have several projects ongoing with MoDOT, and all of the projects that we've worked with them, they've been a great partner. My suggestion at this point would be that the mayor send a letter to Dan Nick, the district engineer, and just let him know that we are concerned about MoDOT's official position on this, and ask them to reconsider. Really, there's nothing more that staff can do to push the agenda on this.
Well, would it help to notify our state representatives to get them involved in this, or not?
I think it'd probably be more appropriate for the mayor to send a letter first. I think Mr. Nick would appreciate that and respect that, rather than calling in state reps and senators. And additionally, MoDOT does not report to them as well. They report to the commission, and so trying to politicize it from that perspective always hasn't been real effective.
We've been battling this for a couple of years now, and I don't know what else we can do. You guys have done a great job phone calling and meeting and trying to get things done, and they evidently are putting their foot down and said we're done with this, and I don't think we need to be done with it.
Right.
I don't know the next step neither.
one thing that this email does for the city is that it really clears up the questions that are out there, because I know there's been a lot of questions circulating in the public that the FAA has said that it's fine to put streetlights there, or MoDOT says it's fine, but it's the city not wanting to do that. So we actually have on the record the fact that both the FAA and MoDOT will not allow anything to go there, and additionally the fact that we're recommending that the mayor send a letter to Mr. Nick, and hopefully that'll clear up some of the confusion.
Because this, I mean, that people are concerned about Kirby and 42, we're going to run into the same problem there, because that's even with that other runway.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're not going to do anything there either.
I would imagine probably not.
They talk about this as a dangerous intersection. You can see a half mile in one direction, you can see a mile in the other direction. The last accident was from a person going west on 40, making a left turn onto that street. He just turned in front of the oncoming car. They talk about a street light. A lot of these accidents are happening, or not a street light, but a lot of these accidents are happening in the daytime. And we're just trying to legislate stupid.
Yeah, that is the pattern that we've seen, is westbound traffic turning south onto Snibar. There seems to be something about people trying to beat the
When we
turn.
ran the numbers, it wasn't like a good percentage of the accidents happened in a certain time frame too.
As I recall, the majority happened in the daylight hours. The majority were failure to yield.
And they were like evening rush hour type times, weren't they?
Well, either way, it's failure to yield, whether it's left turn or in or out.
A lot of them were the westbound traffic, but several were the ones exiting out. So it was a combination of that. And that was one of our original arguments, was the speed limit. We may not have prevented the accidents, but the ones that were having them, the ones that were there are very severe. So that's why we were at least at the minimum asking for a speed reduction.
Captain Bill, you're familiar with that intersection. You have anything you can add?
I think one of the biggest problems with that intersection is it's not a traffic light. It's very hard to estimate or determine or judge somebody coming at you at 55 miles an hour. It's really hard to judge that. And I think that's why we have so many issues there with attorney. Just the person's judgment. And it doesn't matter the hour of the day it is. It's just estimating from a standstill somebody coming at you 55 miles an hour. Well, if you go down to 40 and Kirby, you see that there's less accidents in that area because the speed is reduced substantially down to 40 miles an hour. So that's one of the biggest reasons that I believe that we have so many accidents at that intersection. And it has nothing to do with the lights or stop signs. You can put all them up there that you want. It's the person judging the other vehicle coming at them from a standstill at a very high rate of speed. That's just hard to judge.
I mean, is there anything we can put on R? That would just, I think there's really nothing we could put on Snibar on what we actually know and help it out any though.
No. And Captain Beal has a very good point. I mean, it's difficult to judge 55 miles per hour when a car is coming. If somebody's trying to beat traffic, there's no way to fix that. The only way to fix that problem is to slow traffic down so that they have more time to error, essentially.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If it's 55, people are going to push the limit and go 58, 60 mile an hour.
The traffic study shows they're doing 61, 64.
Yeah. So, I don't understand why MoDOT is arguing just dropping the speed. It's not that big a deal. I don't know how we push them any harder.
You have to go back and go back years and compile the data to produce to them. That's accidents, that's speeding tickets, spell and yield tickets. You have to compile that data over a certain period of time to show that it's consistent and produce that to MoDOT.
Well, we've got something to work with.
We give them everything for 2 years.
We got
accident package with diagrams, causes,
That didn't seem to help either,
We got an intersection less than a quarter mile from it, the only difference is they aren't making a left turn.
Yeah.
That doesn't have the accidents they have at this one, speed limit, same thing there.
And you have a second intersection here at Meadow,
Yeah.
that it is at the higher speed, so why we're not seeing the same experience there as we are on down the road. And I think it's just impatient drivers as much as it's a judgment of oncoming traffic, because I've been experiencing telling my drivers in my fire truck to be careful, because we've had people pull out in front of us in front of the fire truck. So it's sometimes they just don't want to take the time and wait for a good clear spot to get out. So and that's an issue with that intersection just being a little busier traveled intersection, which goes to the numbers of why there's accidents versus the one up the road that comes off the north side of the road as opposed to the south.
Well, we'll send that letter into them and keep doing what we can.
Yeah, very good. We'll work with you on that. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Is that all from staff reports? Okay, next up is Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Arnold.
I just checked on the payday loan legislation that we were talking about the first of the month, where it's...
So, Jim Cook has been out of town, but we've been talking to him about a draft ordinance. The ordinance that he was working off of was from the city of Blue Springs, and so we discussed that at the last board meeting. The direction was to Ken Murphy to go ahead and get something started. I would suspect probably by the next board meeting we'll probably have some sort of draft to review, but we do not have it as of yet.
And I spoke with you once before that I'd like to see some elements of security in that, so that if we require a certain amount of security on their part, so our law enforcement wouldn't have to be dealing with too much there, so that they're safer for the occupants and the customers that go there if one would open here. But,
right.
But it makes them more legitimate companies, with the higher security there, that make sure that people are safe.
Okay. Very good.
That's all.
Alderman West.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Headley.
One question, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
How soon this spring will you be sending teams out, or will the public works guys be going out to patch potholes? I know it's a little cold now,
Yeah.
but there's some pretty big potholes starting to form
Yeah,
in a number of places.
Any potholes that we have, we'll put cold mix into them for now. I would say probably once we get a consistent 40 to 50 degrees and it's consistently staying there, we'll start doing hot patches. Unless, we have some sort of large, deep strength patch that needs to be done. We can do those at any time. It's just really difficult to place hot asphalt when it's this cold, and it doesn't bond near as well. So my hope is, looking at the long range, it looks like mid-March we start to get into more of a consistent 50 to 60 degree day, and we'll probably be out doing some hot patching then, so probably the next 3 weeks, hopefully.
So if we see.
But in the meantime, absolutely let us know. We'll go out, put cold mix in it, and tamp it down, and it'll hold for several weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Scully.
Yeah, I have two things. I didn't make it planning and zoning because I went to school board meetings. And a couple of years ago, they come in with a special needs child that they were working with that's autistic, and they did a follow-up of how he's blending in with the system in the second grade now. And compared to the way he was to now, they had a little video of it. I'm very impressed that we have a school district, and they do a very good job with early childhood and moving up with special needs children to make them adapt. This kid is a very intelligent kid that when he's good, he gets to play on the iPad and he watches like Little Einstein in Spanish, in German, and in Japanese, that he could say hello, mom and dad. He's taught himself. This kid is high functioning like that. So he's speaking 3 languages in a moderate way, counting to 10, that he's taught himself, but that's his goal. When he's good, he gets to play with that. But they've got him working with his classmates on social studies, English, and science now. And so 3 hours of a day he goes with his regular class, and then the rest he goes back. And it was a very interesting, and I'm glad I went to, since I couldn't say anything, to P&Z, I thought I'd go over there, and it was very exciting to see the young lady that's worked with him from day one. She got very emotional because she's so happy, and they cared. And so I'm kind of proud. I like to plug them a little bit like that. They're just about like us. We don't, when we do something good, we don't ever, people know it because it's usually. And then on the second thing was, they had state wrestling last week, and Green Valley had their very first state champion. They took 3 kids down. One took first, one took third, one took fifth. But I was at the grocery store yesterday, and then I have somebody ask me, why did the police escort 2 vans into town at 12:30 at night? Well, that's because that's when they got home from Columbia. I met them up here and escorted them to the school. We've escorted them before on football and other things, And I responded to the person was, apparently nothing else was going on. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. If it was, they would not have been there, because patrolling the town and going on calls is top priority. So I want to thank the chief for letting them do it. Somebody had called and contacted them. I think it's great. That meant a lot to them kids coming in. That program's been in existence for 18 years. He's the 4th one to make it to the finals and finally got a champion. So that's a big deal. So thank you. Pass it on to the officers. And that's all I have.
All right. Alderman Schaefer.
I got a couple things there. Ron, could we just see what the cost would be for a different sign out front? Kind of like the Sonic sign that puts digital information out there. I believe we're zoned for that. You and I have talked about that. Mm-hmm. I like to use as much information to the people as we can. And the sign we got out here, you could change the letters and that's it for a day or 2. So I'd be curious to know what it would cost to put a digital sign out there.
I have bricks if you have very long.
Yeah, there you go. Big thank you guys on your getting a sign up on Montana and Lakeview for me on the cul-de-sac. I was just up that way talking to folks this weekend, and they were really happy that they got their sign. You guys really moved on that fast, so thank you. And then a question for you, Ron. That's liaisons. When we have our meetings, when do you want us to talk about what happened at our meetings on the agenda? Do you want to do that underneath discussions?
Yeah, probably a staff report, or similar to staff report, alderman report, probably a good way.
Or you want to wait till we have our alderman minutes? I missed what you said.
If you'd like to go ahead and discuss it, yeah. You
but
can
for now on, for future, you want to put it underneath discussion?
We can do that. I don't have a preference. Usually, and I'm just kind of following Alderman Scully's lead. Typically, when he goes to a school board meeting, he'll give his liaison update during board comments.
All right. Well, I'll bring everybody. We had Wednesday night. We met with the planning and zoning board. Met with Mr. Trout, and I'll give everybody a copy of what we passed on. What was passed by the planning and zoning board. I want to say I thought they did a real good job with the information that they had. Do you guys want to read this, or do you want to let the people know what we discussed?
You can read it where they can hear it.
What's that, Mayor?
I said if you want to, you can read the bullet points where the people can hear.
What they approved for the racetrack, the planning and zoning board, Wednesday night is 45 race events per year, not including tests and tunes, which that's where he just tests his race cars. 11 o'clock curfew, 85 DVs until 10 o'clock, 80 DVs until 10 to 11. Testing done at the north property line is going to be the sound testing. Will be on the north property line, that's what that means. 95 DVs behind the car at 3,000, 4,000 RPMs. 7 weeknight races per year. The races, they're going to not be held during the school year, so it'll be during the summer because the kids naturally. All cars run on a functional muffler, which I really can't tell you much about the mufflers other than it's supposed to quiet the cars down is one of the goal with that. No limit on amount of the number of quieter events, which means he wants to have motorcycle events, demo derby, a tractor pull, go-kart events, and some non-motorized events, and any events less than 10 cars on the track at a time. Full compliance to all building codes, 3 years length, and violations given notice. Stroud has 30 days to correct them. If you have any questions, I can go into detail for folks, but that's pretty much what they passed. The board's more familiar with the short term of what we got here because we've been talking about this for 4 years. So I don't know, does the board got any questions for me?
Was anything discussed about basically any concessions he needs to make relative to some of the other discussions we've had in the past?
There was some. You mean what we're wanting to see, or what's on here, Bob? Alderman Headley?
What ultimately what we're going to be talking about, I assume, in the next couple of weeks.
No, I don't believe we. And James sits on the planning and zoning, so I don't believe we did talk about anything that we've talked about on the board. This is a lot of this is Mr. Strout, what he brought to us, and they went back and forth between him and Mr. Strout, the planning and zoning board did, and this is what they came up with. So as far as anything that we've discussed, no. I figured from what the legal advice was for me to stay out of it, let our planning and zoning board discuss it, and then let them bring this to us, and then we tweak what we need to tweak. And I think Mr. Strout left out with that impression that this was just the beginning, and then when it comes to us, we'll have to finish tweaking what we put.
Certainly the right and the obligation of the Board of Aldermen to approve something that they agree with. So it's not a rubber stamp of P&Z.
And I believe Mr. Stroud understood this is just the beginning, and it's going to get tweaked. But at least it's a start.
When you talked about this, when it says no limit on the amount and number of quieter events, who determines, do they know what any of these noises are? I asked a question prior to that because more or less is the same thing what we're trying to get out of. You know, I understand some of these are quieter, but some of them aren't. And even if you're at less than 10 cars, they could still be higher than that. I just kind of, it's like we're trying to get out of one bad thing, and now we're trying to make good, but we don't know what that sound is. So how can you authorize something when you don't know what the sound is? I mean, we're fighting this anyway.
Yeah, the discussion from staff, or our presentation, and Ken Murphy's presentation, pointed out the fact that those are very hard to police, and that it would probably be best just to include the non-motorized events because those aren't events that would be covered by the conditional use permit. It's something that we'll make the same presentation to the Board of Aldermen. It's difficult. I've shared this with some of you, and certainly the Planning and Zoning Commission as well, but When we're talking about a conditional use permit or anything that falls outside of the normal scope of zoning, staff really is supposed to provide the facts, the data for what you are looking at. It's one of the few times that staff does not provide a recommendation, because our recommendation would always be no, because it doesn't comply according to the law. But with our presentation, there's the facts that we tried to provide, as we did with the conditional use permit, and that section right there specifically would be hard to police. Now, the only thing that I would caution is that we don't get too deep into this discussion tonight, because Mr. Shrout has a public hearing at the next board meeting regarding this, and we can have further discussion about that. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, Alderman Scully, and it was conveyed in the presentation.
Okay.
That's all I got, Mayor.
Alderman Johnson?
Two things. Who controls the timing on the light there at Snybar and Eagles Parkway?
Yes.
When you're going south on Snybar, that turning light there's very few cars that make a left turn there.
Okay.
But I've gone through, I happen to be going, early morning, I happen to be going north, and it will sit there and you'll have all three lanes, east, west, and north, tied up for the left turning lane. If that could be shortened some, time and see how long, because it stays a left turn for a long time, and then ties up the other three lanes when it does.
So that would be the southbound turning east onto Eagles Parkway.
Right.
Okay.
Right. The other thing is, on Facebook the other day, someone got on there and they wanted to see if we had considered, or what it would take to get the north and southbound streets between Yenny and Walnut changed to alternate one-ways. They say it's the streets are narrow, they park on both sides. I don't know if we've looked at that before. I don't know what all is entailed to do it. There were quite a few people get on there, so it sounded like a great idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean the people that are really involved in it. So I was curious, if we had studied that, or if it is something feasible.
Yeah, I think it was actually previously discussed.
Yes, I think when we redid Walnut, we looked at it, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what I had heard. Now, I wasn't here when that occurred, but we can...
Actually, what they would have to do is they can contact me, because there's a petition process that goes with that.
Okay.
That there has to be, I think it's 80% in agreement with the property owners on both sides of the street.
I'll let them know to do that. That's all I have.
Okay. Next item is the mayor's report. I have nothing additional to report. Next item is executive session. We do have a need for legal personnel.
Sure.
Is that the only two?
Is it?
Okay. So we do have a need for an executive session for legal actions and personnel. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Motion from Alderman Arnold. I have a second. Second, Alderman Johnston. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Alderman Arnold?
Yes.
Alderman West? Alderman Headley?
Yes.
Alderman Scully?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Johnston? Yes. All right, we'll adjourn.